All right, my friends, welcome to episode number 270 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry. I am a professor down in California at Prof Plays Games on Twitter. Over there is Anthony, the dev at Summer Speak. He is chilling next to a cozy fire. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's in my living room in the wood stove, but my house is very warm. I'm very happy
Nice.
because it's very cold up here.
Yeah.
It's probably not as cold down in San Diego.
No, it's a breezy when we go outside. My daughter wants a sweater, and this is permanent hoodie weather for me, but that's because I just get cold easily. But no, we're good.
Yep.
Before we get into the podcast, I want to give away a code for a game. This is a game called Goat of Duty, which I'm assuming it's like a COD game where you play as a goat. I don't actually know. This is from a Humble Bundle back in October. DFIWJBY666. So there you go with that. YBLXV. Check that out. Also, if you like our podcast, please tell a friend, rate us on your podcast service of choice, and check out Prof and Dev Play Games on YouTube. I've got a new video out when you're hearing this. My first backlog binge. I took a couple hours of Far Cry 3 footage and boiled it down to about 25 minutes of a video and talked over it. So it's pretty dumb. Check it out. I really sold it there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, were you talking about the game or you?
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't we throw it to you so you tell us what the hell we're talking about tonight?
Well, mostly the two things. Probably want to talk a little bit about BioWare and their announcement this week, and then maybe a little bit about Cyberpunk coming out, since it's probably the biggest game of the year, I would think.
Yeah, and this is like the calm before the storm, right? It comes out on the 10th, which is
the 10th, but people can, I mean, depending on where you've got it in digital versions, like I think on the West Coast, we could theoretically be playing it at like the 9th at 3 p.m. I think there's a map that CDPR put out showing like the times that it unlocks and by time zone, and
then that accompanied that map. I thought it said in the US you're at midnight your local time.
Not the one I saw. They had LA on it. It was should see. And I thought it was on the 9th though, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So do you have like PTO ready for that game?
No. Because I have not taken PTO off because I'm taking PTO off a couple days before Christmas and Christmas Eve. So I just have effectively, I will have from the 21st until the 4th off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just taking the last 2 weeks of the year off. So I did not plan extra PTO around this, and actually I have plenty of meetings on the 10th and the 11th. So I will not be playing outside of evenings and maybe a little bit at lunch. But that's going to be it until that weekend. But there's a lot of people starting to leave the week the 14th. The week of the 14th, there's probably about a quarter of the company is out, which a lot of people just haven't taken any vacation this year. So they're just like, screw it. We're just taking the last chunk of this year off.
Like use it or lose it, right?
No, there's no lose it. We don't have accrued time. We just take time off. And actually they do a lot of pushing to make sure people do take time off. If you go like more than like 9 months without taking a day off, the executive team will talk to you about like going, you should take a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure out how to make that happen so that you're not here for a while.
Right.
Because they also know it's incredibly important to take time off, and not just put all your time into your work.
Right.
So no, I think just with the COVID stuff, a lot of people just hadn't thought about taking time off because what are they going to do? So, and I think there was probably for a long time through the summer, a lot of hope from people of being like, oh, that we'll get over this and then I can go on a vacation somewhere. Well, we're not getting over it soon. It was a nice thought.
Yes.
So a lot of people I think are just like, fine, screw it. I'm just taking time off and I will work on something else, a hobby, or go for a very long drive.
Yeah. A nice solitary drive.
Solitary drive to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But either way, it's crazy. So no extra time off on that one. I don't even know. I still have it. I think I'll be playing it on the PS5 overall.
Yeah.
And my copy was, I mean, I'm not one of the lucky people that had ordered it through Best Buy who already got their copies.
Oh my God. They were getting they weren't getting copyright struck, but they were like basically being they were being claimed by CDPR and just like stop.
Yeah, because
I
CDPR
bought
put
it.
out
It's not my
a
fault.
whole thing saying like, "Hey, we're not gonna like let people stream this until the 8th, I believe."
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the streaming part is separate from me from they weren't even letting them show pictures of what's inside the box, even though
oh
don't we know
wow,
what's inside the box? Yeah, people they were
yeah,
getting pulled. The tweets were being pulled by CDPR, right? I mean by Twitter
oh
at
wow,
request
okay,
for what's inside the box,
okay,
which that seemed weird to me because we didn't know what's in the
yeah, that does seem weird. I hadn't seen that, but
so
yeah, that seems really weird.
I caught a video. I saw what was inside. Fine, whatever.
Yeah,
I understand the stream part though, so that's fine.
so yeah, that's. But even that, I mean, it's pretty early. Like even a day, two
I mean,
days earlier than actual release day, the streams can start.
right. Well, I feel like Best Buy is probably. I mean, they went gold a while ago, so Best Buy
Oh
has
yeah,
probably been sitting on those for a while. They're just like, let's
yeah,
get this fucking out of here.
and clearly they didn't send them all out because I know plenty of people
Right.
I saw that didn't get it. So I don't know what person screwed up in their warehouse or which warehouse screwed up and was like, "Oh, we're just sending them, right? Check, go." I'm trying to
So
see.
where's your hype level at for this game coming out next week?
I'm trying to keep my hype low.
Probably
Uh,
wise.
I'm excited to experience the world and just Cyberpunk. Like this week, I think that what got my hype level a little bit higher is that this week I got my copy of Cyberpunk Red, which is the new edition of the role playing game,
Right.
which is the bridge in timeline. It's like 2045, I believe, is the time of Red, the universe. So it's kind of Cyberpunk 2020, and this is 2045. So 25 years of in-game world story, and you can kind of see the hints of what will be important in 2077. And I'm just a sucker for that stuff. So that just has got me excited for like a world story that will be interesting. Because this totally has the Cyberpunk Red Book totally has hints of what the hell's going on with Johnny Silverhand a bit. So
Mm-hmm.
and like why the fuck is this guy from 2020 around in 2077? And even if it is a chip, and but what does that mean, and what do these other characters mean that were alive in 2020? So yeah, that has got me a little bit probably more hyped than I probably should be, but whatever, that's fine. Keeping
Have
my
you watched
expect. Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No,
Have
go
you
ahead.
watched any recent gameplay that was
Nope.
either of those dopes who streamed it earlier or whatever?
Nope. I've only watched what they've officially put out, so the Night City Wire episodes. I did not want to see anything of anyone playing because here's one thing: even anybody who's gotten Cyberpunk 2077 in their hands, physical copy, you are not playing 1.0 of that game.
Right.
You're playing
There's been
whatever whatever they had to get pushed through certification 2 months ago to get gold copies made, make that gold master and get production going.
Right.
That is not a final game, and I'm sure it's buggy as hell, broken in many ways, not polished. Like,
They pushed for a reason, right?
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, fine, stream all you want. I bet the beginning of the game is pretty standard and solid because that will be the part of the game that will get the most love, easiest that people are just testing and playing. But I guarantee probably after the first third of the game, it's going to fall apart pretty fast from a technical standpoint. At least that's my gut. Is like you're going to experience potential game breaking bugs. So
Yeah,
I haven't want to watch
from
any of it.
I guess I haven't even heard much of the people who have it, their experience playing it. Have you
No,
at all?
no.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably avoiding it.
I'm avoiding
I'm
it
not.
somewhat, but I'm not actively avoiding it. I'm in general games news sites. I'm on Reddit. I'm not in
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Cyberpunk 2077 Reddit, but I'm in the other. I'm like in the Cyberpunk role playing Reddits. So sometimes that stuff, of course, filters in there a bit, and I would have expected I would hear something if there was something big to be said, but no. I mean, maybe the
Kind of
people
where I'm
that
confused
haven't are
with it.
being somewhat respectful. I don't know.
Maybe like the Last of Us 2, like those were all over the. I feel like if people actually have the full game in their hands, that would also be all over the place. But I really haven't seen it, and I've been, I haven't hidden myself away from gaming news either.
Yeah. So I'm not completely sure. Okay, 4 p.m. PST on December 9th is when the earliest someone could play it on the West Coast of the US.
So if you had pre-ordered it on PS5, that's when it unlocks, basically.
Yeah, I mean, preloads start, I think, tomorrow or today. Supposedly review embargo is tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, should be a good day then.
I I
I love
was
reviews
I
back in the
did
days.
look up on Friday. I was just like, hey, we're a week out from release, and then there's no reviews. That's weird. CD PR is not a company that tends to hold the game until release for reviewers. They actually do give the games early. So
Right.
I just did a quick Google, and there was a couple sites that confirm that were saying we can't say the embargo is Monday, but it's Monday. Um,
Well, as late as the middle of last week, listening to a couple of podcasts, people were being very clear. We don't have codes yet.
yeah,
So I'm wondering how can
depends on
you,
who the
if that,
review depends on who what the which reviewers are getting it, because I don't know if they're giving it to specifically codes to streamers or not for that.
yeah. Yeah, because I feel like to review that game, you should have had the code, what, 2 weeks ago? Like,
Yeah,
that's a long, huge game, isn't it?
yeah, it's huge. Well, they have to be ready for the 43 gigabyte day one batch.
God damn, dude.
I mean,
So,
you
so
don't have the game. The game is not. I think the
yeah.
game is probably available tomorrow. Finally.
So if I'm preloading tomorrow, that's with the new patches up, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's day
Yeah.
one. I don't. I mean, I think they're. I'd have to read again if there'll be other updates to the preloading. They did let a bunch of people play it for 16 hours though. I saw a
Mhm.
number of those
Yeah,
videos
that's right.
pop up, and people
Using
could.
Parsec, like streaming it, right?
Yeah, streaming. It was
Mm.
2 days of 8 hours. They actually like sat with them remotely and let the PR person let them play for a very solid 8 hours each day. And I guess the thing was with that. Who did I see? I can't remember which person I YouTube video I saw that they were talking about playing it for that long, and they did finish it, and they were like, "I want to play more." So that was a good sign.
Are you saying they finished the game or finished
No,
the
they
16
finished
hours?
that 16 hours and were not.
Got
They
it.
were
Got it.
like, "I don't want to stop playing this."
That's a good.
Um,
That's a good sign.
so that was
One.
enough for
One.
me to be like, okay, so there's enough hooks here. The thing that they said though was it's a big RPG. If you expect to be going crazy in the first couple hours, uh, you need to temper those expectations. It's an RPG. You will start out and you're going to be scraping by. Um,
Yeah.
you are on the street. Fights are tough. They become easier as you get better equipment and can do cooler things. But it takes a while to get there.
Is that is that speaking specifically of the Nomad or Street Kids,
No,
or is that also Corpo as well?
this is a street kid. I think was what they said they played. N-
Okay.
Neither person that I saw that talked about playing it played Nomad as their starter. One was Corpo, one was Street
Mhm.
Kid, and it sounds like those
And they're
all converge at to the same place. So
that makes sense.
and that
I guess.
don't expect that those are hugely long. Like it's a few hours for each intro story, and then they converge
I,
into the same main story.
a preview that I heard said it was 6 hours to the title screen.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't sound like that's your origin completely
Hmm.
for those six.
Right.
Maybe it is
It's
6
also
hours. Maybe they just got fast through it. I don't know, but at some point, all the stories just converge into one story, and then your origin of choice just really changes dialogue options and things you can do as you play the game. It doesn't
right.
drastically change the story. But I think the person playing
That's
Corpo said that they could, anytime they were talking to someone corporate, they just had a super easy time with those conversations, which
yeah,
makes
that's what I heard.
sense.
I also had a preview from Tom Marks at IGN who had done the 16 hours like you were talking about, and was basically saying like this is like the most adult game I've ever seen for a lot of reasons. Part of it is like there's sex everywhere, and it's everywhere in the way that if someone from 1930 came to where we are now, they would feel that way. Whereas for us, it's like, okay, feels normal. So it kind of progresses along that line, which is
Oh
I
yeah,
think an interesting way to put it.
I mean the role playing game, the physical role playing games have always been like that. And I think the Mike Pondsmith of the Cyberpunk role playing games has always said that his stuff was. He's very sad we're in 2020. He's like, Cyberpunk was a warning, not an ambition.
Yeah, right.
Um, and and actually he's talking because he's like one of the few black RPG writers, especially whenever
Mhm.
he was writing in the 80s,
Right.
and stuff, and business owner in the RPG space. And he had a lot to say, of course, on Black Lives Matters and the whole thing, and his experiences being black in a predominantly actually wealthy neighborhood, but still having to getting shit. And being like, because he put out his message of this being a warning, not an ambition, around when all the protests were going on. pretty heavily, and then COVID on top of it and everything. He's just like these when he's writing this and he's pushing that like in this pushing the sexual content farther, and when he was doing 2020 and Red and pushing it is looking at the worst ways that humanity could go and what happens when you have giant corporations and stuff using using media and advertisement everything to in the worst possible ways without being checked by anybody. That's what these games are, and so that can be really depressing sometimes. Really fucking depressing.
Maybe that's, I don't know what the thing is. It's like tamping down my enthusiasm for the game, considering, following Witcher 3, I should be all about this company's next game, and I'm just not.
And
I think it's because it kind of mirrors The Witcher 3, where like that on paper should have been a game that was like super interesting to me, and I didn't really have much interest in it until I started to see people playing it and hearing that buzz for it. So I think that will probably pull me in, but right now I just feel
it's going to be dark. I think it's going to be, and it's not like The Witcher, especially Witcher 3 wasn't dark. Those are pretty dark fantasy stories. And this is dark science fiction. So, I'm sure there are going to be things in here that are going to make me uncomfortable. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's going to make me feel things. And I do enjoy art that makes me feel things.
I think it's good if it like engenders some sort of reflective period, right? So these things happen that feel shitty or whatever, but then like they just start this period of reflection. I think like that's what I enjoy most about art.
Yeah.
For a long time I was really into like depressing music and depressing film and whatever, because it was like a mirror for me to reflect. And now I'm not so much into that because I don't really need to reflect in that way. I don't know.
I think there's going to be a lot of people who aren't going to reflect on any of this. Like, I'll be honest, they're not.
I know. Yeah, no, I know.
And they're not going to see this. They're going to see this, especially Cyberpunk, just as like, oh, this is so cool. And it's like, this isn't being presented to actually be cool. Like,
and that feels like that's troublesome that being missed if that's the intent of the original. And I don't think Cyberpunk, or sorry, CD Projekt Red is like perhaps.
No, I honestly think the Cyberpunk community as a whole misses that point pretty constantly. People who there's a larger, I'll make the generalization, a larger people that just read not this game, but read just cyberpunk literature and fiction and everything, who don't see past kind of the like tongue-in-cheek coolness of it.
Are they like enamored by the cool tech, and that's
the cool tech and the cool like transhumanism ideas in some ways, but never give it deep thought in the like, this seems like it's mean to talk about this stuff, like present this stuff in a it seems cool, but it's really not.
Like humanity is being stripped away here.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of that to this whole thing, and it's I would say the role-playing games are a bit more tongue-in-cheek in a lot of their stuff, but I feel it's like that tongue-in-cheek satire. Like there's definitely a strong vein of satire going on through these.
I feel like it's easier to dig into that satire in the pen and paper role playing, and this is like a super broad generalization, but I feel like it's a lot more cerebral. Like you really can dig into nuance and get nuance more than this really beautiful, flashy, immersive video game, right?
Yeah. So I do think that's going to be somewhat. I honestly do think that will be problematic for some of the community. It's probably why I've looked at like the Cyberpunk 2077 Reddit, and I did not join that Reddit subreddit. I did not want to be a part of it because it's a lot of just the fans of Cyberpunk that make me uncomfortable. The stuff that they're excited about is just not the stuff I'm like, no, that's never been what's excited me about the genre as a whole. So I don't know, but I can enjoy it for what it is in that way. Yeah. You can see the messages being talked about here. Because I kind of feel like there's other people. I mean, I've talked to people that have played Witcher who are just all about the sex in Witcher. That's the funniest thing to them, and like, look how funny all this stuff is, and there's so much
fucking around a unicorn.
Exactly. Just like, but you're like, okay, you do you. But there's a whole lot more to that game than that. And it's saying a whole lot more. But cool. All right.
I guess that's kind of what I mean about the reception to the game versus the pen and paper. Same thing with The Witcher, like the reception to even the show, but the game versus the literature is that it seems very reductive in a way that's like I don't know. I feel like it's like hipster to point it out. Like, yo, go back and look at the source material to see how deep this shit is. No, no, no. It's cool. There's tits. I'm good.
Yeah, and
Mm.
I don't think the people that you would say that to have any interest in seeing it deeper.
My wife just walked in when I said that sentence, and she's laughing at me.
She should. It's worthwhile. But
Uh,
yeah, I don't think those people have any interest in going deeper. Like
yeah,
people
everyone gets whatever they want.
consume their media for at different things out of it. So
Totally, exactly.
um,
Some people are looking for escapism, and it just seems like an odd world to escape into. But I don't,
yeah,
that I think that's just a disconnect for me. Is like lately I've been, I think it's always been that way, but my empathy has really increased in the past year, and then the like vicarious living has also obviously during the pandemic increased. So like I'm playing video games, and I'm like I am that person, right? So I
yeah,
feel super connected. And is that a world that I want to be connected to right now? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think I will know more after the game is out, and I can judge people's reactions. And this is something that'll tie into a game that I'm playing that I'll talk about later. But like the pre-release hype didn't really sweep me up in this particular game, but post-release, like really in-depth discussions of this particular game has like made me realize this is probably a game I'd like. And then I checked it out, and it's certainly a game I like.
yeah.
So it might be the same way with Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I mean, really, for me, I just want to. I mean, it's a big role playing game. I'm like thinking of things that will get me actually hooked into it. I need characters and story that drive me forward. Like I want to learn what's happening. I want that mystery. I need that. I need that going. I need to care for the characters around me, and then on the mechanical side, I need to feel like I can make choices that are truly meaningful, not just little stat bumps. And actually, The Witcher 3 was a one that took me a while to understand its mechanical systems because on the surface it felt very superficial when I first started messing with it. And it was only after I put in a number of hours did I see like, oh, all the little like things you can do in Witcher and like the gear and the oils and the mutations actually drastically affects your gameplay.
Oh yeah.
But you don't. I don't feel like you see that initially when playing the game. It only comes in a little bit later.
Well, I
So
feel like it's hard, like the oil specifically, but less so than meat. But how do you see the effects of the oil other than like the health bar or whatever or the status effects on the boss? It
yeah,
seems very slight
it is slight,
compared to
and
like effect it has.
yeah, and then it's slight. But then you start doing it, and it's like, oh, I'm doing a lot better in this fight.
Oh yeah, right.
Like it's a weird thing where it's like you learn that stuff as you go. And so I just need this game and I would say FPSs in general don't have a lot of stat range when it comes to like RPG elements. Here's looking at you, Destiny, in a lot of ways. Like the guns don't.
Right,
I
bullet
mean,
points,
sure,
bullet
they like for the people that play a lot of time in it, they see the variation. But whenever you get a new gun, you're like, is this doing more damage? I don't know. Maybe.
right.
It uses a different element. Cool. But they have to balance. They're balancing around their PvP as well, trying to keep that in check. The one thing with the single player RPG is they can actually go crazy and be like, "Hey, you just got this badass new gun. Look at how cool that was," or you got these new cybernetics that drastically make you feel much more badass. You see the
Right.
increase in power, and they don't have to worry about it like completely throwing balance off. In a
Right.
player versus
Balancing
player.
yeah.
Exactly. Is this balanced against the encounters you're going with? Cool. That's all we need to do. So that's all I need it mechanically. I need an RPG that actually makes me feel like I'm getting stronger as I'm going, meaningfully stronger, and I'm making meaningful mechanical choices, not just I'm doing 10 more damage. Like it sounds like the guns actually do that. There's quite a different depending on the type of guns you're using, and what their abilities are. It will drastically change how you approach encounters. So, and that
Well,
should
that's
be
really
something that
helpful.
CDPR should be good at that, considering Witcher.
I mean,
Like,
they did that with Witcher 3. I mean, the oils really did change the encounters because you had to choose different oils based on the monster you were facing. You had to know at a deeper level. Like it just added more strategy to it.
yeah,
Like you could just brute force it. Like if you're strong enough, like whatever, you don't have to worry about that. But like you said, once you use the oils, you just realized how much easier,
yeah,
which mirrors how it would be in quote unquote real life in
yeah,
Geralt's world, right?
yeah. And it
So
does
they're
sound,
the same.
yeah, and it does sound from those people doing the big playthroughs that the game does expect you to, especially if that was the thing early on, actually like scope out your fights and pick and choose how you're going to engage, and prepare for the fights. which is cool. I appreciate that. I appreciate anything that will just give me some time to actually think through how I want to approach something. So there's a lot to look forward to in the game. And I talk about it and I'm like, oh, this should be a lot of fun. But there's still parts of me that are like, can this really even live up to a part of the hype that's already going on? Because this seems
Right,
insane.
and that's I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Because it seems insane. The hype level for this game seems astronomical.
It is. It's stratospheric, and I think that's another reason why I think that maybe is the biggest reason why have almost turned a blind eye. Like I've barely watched any of the Night City things because of how much I revere Witcher 3. And with any other game, whatever that studio did next, I would be all over. And I just want to like protect my heart in a way, which sounds silly, but like I want to come with my hype level so low that this thing just destroys me and just I want that same experience I had with Witcher 3 where like the discovery of that game like is unforgettable. I want the same thing here. And I feel like if I come in with like my expectations at 11, there's no way that gets met and I'm just like disappointed. So I'm trying to keep it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not trying to keep them that low, but there's definitely pieces where I'm just holding out, being like, can they actually pull this off? And they might. I don't know. They announced this thing 7 years ago. They've been working like crazy to make it happen, but I don't know. Crossing my fingers. That's all I'm doing. Just cross my fingers. I'll get to play it on the 10th on Thursday, and we'll see how it goes. I'm sure next week I can talk even more. I'll be able to talk about it. And
is there anything that you're sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Is there anything that you're putting down right now to play it, or you're just kind of still bouncing around?
Just bouncing around.
Mm.
I mean, we can switch into what we're playing. It's fine. I'm bouncing between Monster Hunter Iceborne, No Man's Sky, and a little bit of Valhalla again. Just seeing if I can push myself further into that game.
How's that going?
Not great. I got to I thought was a cool part and like pushed through a big cool part, finishing it, and it was okay. Felt like it was too long and this weird side thing. I think you have to do it, but I don't want to spoil it because I think it is main story related, but it seems very tangential and it was very long for being a tangent. Cool, but long. And I don't see exactly how it reconnects into the main story right now. So I don't know. I said, I think last week, I have the combat down on easy just so I don't have to deal with it because I really don't like the combat that much.
Yeah, that's unfortunate considering that's the main mechanic you engage.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's whatever. I guess I just want it to be faster than it is.
I've heard that over and over again how slow it is.
It does. Like, it feels really, it feels really slow paced in the combat and the fights, and then the boss fights are just very, very much okay. This is the pattern. Can you execute to this pattern? That's it.
Right.
As long as you can execute the pattern, you'll beat the boss. And it might just take you forever because things just have a lot of health. It feels like. And that's it.
I think the reason I approached Valhalla cautiously. I played it. I have UB Plus just for the month to kind of check out these 3 big UB games this month. And I approached it cautiously because it's the Origins team, and I probably got 2/3 of the way through Origins. I felt the same way. The pacing was very plodding. There was just a lot, and the narrative didn't really pull me through. Like I stopped. Like I finished Syndicate before, and I loved Odyssey. So I kind of was like faced with, we've got 2 open world games that are in similar veins. We've got Valhalla, and then like a month later or less, you have Immortals: Phoenix Rising. One's done by the Origins, and one's done by the Odyssey. Which one do I want to kind of place my bet with? And I have waited for Watch Dogs and those 2 games to see kind of like where the discussion of those 3 games netted out, and ended up being Immortals, which is, I'm glad I waited. And I think that you might have a better time with that game because I think a lot of the things that you liked about Odyssey that are the opposite of what happened in Origins, and now in Valhalla, are happening in Immortals, and that seems like that would be.
Yeah, I've seen some streams of playing it, and it looks fun. It looks ridiculous. I mean, it's Breath of the Odyssey, basically. Yeah. Like, just look at it, I'm just like, yep, it's Breath of the Wild with much, in weird ways, I feel like more puzzles.
Tons
of actual, like, multi-stage puzzles.
Yep.
which I guess is cool. Like it's interesting that they just focused on that a lot more. Some varied combat. I mean, for everyone who hates weapon degradation in Breath of the Wild, there's not weapon degradation. So,
Right.
so yeah, that one's on my list. I probably that might be. I don't know. I was gonna say that might be January. I might play that.
Hmm.
That is really only place it fits in because Persona 5 Strikers got announced for the US. The trailer leaked, but it's
Yeah, I saw that.
it actually gets December 8th is when the full press announcement's going to go out about it. Atlas was like, "Yep, it leaked, but wait till the 8th and you'll actually." But
Yeah.
February, I think 23rd. So I know I'm going to be playing that because it's a direct continuation to the Persona 5 storyline.
Isn't it a Muso game?
It is a Muso game. It's made by Omega Force.
Oh, Jesus Christ! It is seriously?
Yeah,
Wow, that's
it's
great. I
it's
mean, that's
Koei
the
it's
Muso
Koei
team.
Tech.
Huh?
Yeah, it's Koei Tecmo Omega Force. They just took Persona 5 and
Awesome.
were like, we're gonna. I hey, they're. I think they've been very successful taking that formula to different franchises now. So,
Dude, Fire Emblem,
yep,
fucking Zelda,
two Zeldas
and
at this
yeah,
point.
sure, keep it up. Age of Calamity is the best Muso I've ever played.
Yeah, I gotta
I've
play
played
that
quite a
one.
few.
God damn it! There's a lot of games right now, and it's I can't buy all of them, or have
Yeah.
time to play all of them. So I don't want to buy all of them right now.
Yep.
I have played No Man's Sky, which I know you've been playing.
Oh my god.
Um,
What's your experience been like?
I'm enjoying it well enough. I mean, I've played it a year ago, 6 months ago. At
Hmm.
some point, I'd put another chunk of time into it on Game Pass, actually on PC. Just I think that's when they did the. I can't remember what update it was. It brought a bunch of stuff
Like
though.
next, I think maybe.
Yeah, the next gen was the one we just got. Is what we're on now. I think it was the Origin update when they updated the planets
Mm.
a bit. And I still enjoy the game for the most part. I still find it a bit shallow in its activities. It's that's the thing. It's incredibly broad, and the planets look cool, and they're somewhat different, but they're not really that different when it comes down to it. They artistically look different, and they have different things going on. But you basically can you're like, yep, that planet has these resources. That planet has these resources. Check, check.
Hmm.
And so there's always a part of me that's like, okay, I'm doing these things. How long do I do this before it gets boring to me? And it hasn't got really boring to me this time. I've just been mostly focusing on just building my base.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll move forward a little bit and then I'll just go back and build my base a bunch because cool, I'll just build a base. So
Yeah, I'm finding the same hooks where I'm pushing forward the main story. Did you ever finish the main story?
no, the farthest I ever got in the main story was before they completely changed the main story.
Oh, okay, got it.
It was like the release version. I got pretty damn far in the release version, story wise. And so I think it's still roughly the same story, just done better.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know exactly where it's leading. And there's the different like because there's the Atlas path
Hmm.
and then Artemis.
Right.
Is there another path?
I don't know. All I know is Artemis. I'm following Artemis.
Path.
Path.
And there's the Atlas path. Those are
Yeah,
the two
I
different
haven't
paths. And I don't actually remember which one is technically the main story.
it feels like
I think,
Artemis.
I
feel like
think
that's the
that
first
one
one I've ever
is,
been to.
but I'm not sure what because the Atlas path I think was the one from the base game when it first came out. I think Artemis was the one that was added because yeah, Artemis wasn't a thing in the release game. So I don't know. I got to play more with that. I'm slowly but surely working my way through that. It's a good way to kind of just chill out at night
Dude, totally.
and
It's
not
my
have
audiobook game.
exactly. I can have something else on while I'm playing.
Yep.
And it's like I don't have to be so focused on the game that I can't like listen to something in the background.
Right. Right.
Which is nice.
Yeah, I've been listening to Obama's audiobook and it's
Nice.
been fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. But other than that, then I've played some Iceborne. Because why not? I love Monster Hunter, and I still love Monster Hunter. Playing it, I feel like I'm pretty confident in my playing again. Didn't take that long to get back up to speed.
Right.
And it's good. I've done a few more hunts and just continuing through it. I heard the movie is getting the game review bombed, so that's cool.
Wait, what?
So in China, the movie released in China, Monster Hunter
Oh.
World, Monster Hunter movie,
Right.
and it had some joke in it,
Oh boy.
which I'm actually surprised that it would ever be released. It's basically a joke that can be taken as subtle racism against Chinese. I don't think it was intended like that. but it definitely is one of those things where like someone should have caught this.
Right.
But I'm also surprised that someone to get released in China, it has to be viewed, by the different government departments to get released. I'm surprised it didn't come up from that. I'm like, how the hell did this get released in this country with this very, at worst, poorly localized joke, at best poorly localized, at worst, actual subtle racism against the audience you're releasing it to early.
Right. Wow, I didn't hear about that.
Something, something's, it's not good. And so there's a big backlash against Monster Hunter World, and it's getting review bombed right now on Steam.
Dang.
So yeah, that movie is doing great for the franchise already.
Yeah, really
good job, guys.
Raise the visibility of the games.
Yeah.
Man, that's awful.
Oh yeah, because Steam has actually stopped reviews for it. They've not stopped, but they put the block in, and they're reviewing the last number of days of reviews.
Right.
Because it was going along incredibly positive views, as expected. Like that's pretty common to a day of just like, oh, we went from a week earlier getting 800 positive reviews to December 2nd getting 1,000 negative reviews. So
dang it. Well, I guess that's something I would expect from just right-wing folks review bombing some, TLU, for example, TLU 2. But I guess everyone is the same everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a good way to, I guess, get your voice heard in some way, in a small way that companies would actually like go, oh shit.
Right.
So I don't know, but that's crazy. I enjoy the actual. When it comes to the game, I have a great time with the game. Ton of fun. The Iceborne expansion adds an absolute buttload of new content to that game.
Nice.
And yeah, I think a couple of the two guys that I used to play the base game with, they're picking it up as well. So during our break, we're going to play some again.
Nice.
Co-op. Learn how to play as a team again. So
right. Oh, you had so much fun playing as that trio. That's
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what got me to buy it, where we were all kind of poking each other, going like, should we do Iceborne now? We're all in better places. And
right. I thought you had for some reason.
Nope.
Already done.
But... Nope. I hadn't touched Iceborne. I mean, it came out, and then neither one of those other friends were going to play it right then. I had some people at System Era like, oh, if you have to get it for PC, we have it all on PC and we'll play it. But I'm like, I don't want to rebuy it for PC. I don't want to play the base game from PC. I have 174 hours on my character on PS4. I'm not playing this again. And there's no cross saves. So.
Oh, really?
No. Because the PC version came out later, and they actually had a different calendar on when events had happened. So, like, PS4 players had content that the PC players didn't have for months.
Right.
So there was like a disparity between the versions, and I still think, I don't know, I think Iceborne, maybe they could do it now. I don't think there's a disparity anymore, but I think there's still potentially some base game PS4 content and like exclusive stuff that just is not on the PC. So I don't know. It's not going to happen, and so I was not going to replay it on PC. Not happening. But now I can play it on PS5, and it's super fast and awesome. So, and quiet.
Quiet, dude. I mean, I wear headphones all the time, so I don't know if I really. But sometimes I'll just take off the 5, and I can't hear. I'm sitting. It's fucking great.
It really is.
Lucky all 4 of us got it. People are just struggling to find coffee of that console.
Yeah, I'm really surprised about that. Really, that we all ended up with one. 2 people from my work, the 2 people I know that were trying to get one from my work, got them on release.
Right. 6 people then.
Yeah, my friend, of the trio of us playing Monster Hunter, he was able to get one. He actually got his one from Best Buy right before Thanksgiving.
Oh dang!
So yeah, he was one of the lucky ones who was able to get it on a second shipment that came in. So I mean, that's the thing. Like, people I know that have like wanted one, they've been able to get it. I mean, they can't just go in and get it now, but if they're like, I want one, and they're like, all right, I'm just gonna camp Wario64's Twitter,
totally,
and see when they go on for sale, and they usually get them. So
hopefully not get pissed at him when he tweets other shit.
Yeah, so that's what I've been playing.
That's cool. For me, I've been playing a lot. I'll start with the small stuff first. Age of Calamity, played another level or 2. I went to Daruk's area and did a whole Musu, 45-minute battle through there, where I was Impa, Link, and Daruk. And they all play very differently, which is really cool. It's more, you could definitely play it as a button masher, but there's actually some subtlety to how they play differently. Not even subtlety. Their abilities are also subtlety in terms of combos you can create. It fucking chugs handheld. I took it out last night, yesterday. And I was just like, no, this is not the way to play this game. I played it on this, elsewise, I played it on this for the demo, probably an hour of the game, and it was much better. So I would
Okay.
not recommend it handheld. But that's kind of where I get my Switch time. Yeah, Chuck. Played some Fire Emblem Three Houses, just kind of pushing through some battling to level up my characters. Played some Smash, but then the big stuff I played this 2 games. One, I'll start with the smaller one first. Immortals: Phoenix Rising. I have Ubisoft Plus, so I decided I was going to get it for this month period to try out Watch Dogs, Valhalla, and Immortals, and kind of see which one I wanted to like jump into, because they're 3 games, 3 franchises that I like, and that's a lot to play. I don't have that much time. Watch Dogs I could not load on my computer at all. Like
Weird.
it would. Yeah, you saw the picture I sent, right?
Yeah.
Where it's screen split in 4, and it just plays Watch Dogs in the upper right hand quadrant.
Like it's not
That
properly getting the resolution of the model or something.
Yeah, I guess. Tried a couple fixes, didn't work, and honestly didn't spend that much time. Like maybe that's the console player in me, or like the busy at work and with my kid person in me. Like
Yeah.
I got 10 minutes to devote to this, can't figure it out, whatever. So I just uninstalled it. Played Valhalla. We talked about it before. I played like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It was interesting. Felt slow. It didn't immediately hook me. And then today I tried out Immortals. Mainly I tried out Immortals because kind of like after the reviews came out and the review embargo, like it kind of was all over the place. There were some
It
people
was.
who really liked it and some people who really didn't. And sometimes those kind of games I do like. But then I was listening to a couple of podcasts that I really enjoy, like the MinMax podcast, Giant Bomb, IGN, and they were talking about like this is a game that people are going to not like, but if they dig into it, like this is a game that people are going to look back on in a year and say, wow, that's a great game. But it's come out at a time where like after 2 other open world games from Ubisoft, and kind of has this like funny humor to it. It looks a little, kiddie or animated, so there are some people are turned off by the puzzles. They're not too hard or whatever it is, like turns people off for whatever reason. But for people who like the game, they're going to really like the game. Basically, the consensus that I've heard and read is like the first hour is kind of rough. And once you push out and get past the tutorial into the open world, like it improves a lot. And I was like, okay, I'm going to check it out. I fucking loved the first hour. Like really, really liked it. I thought it was fucking hilarious. And maybe it's just because like my kind of humor is like dumb. I don't know, but I thought it was super funny. I thought it was the banter between Zeus and Prometheus was really cool. I like how it looks, obviously. It just feels like the Odyssey took a stab at Breath of the Wild by committee, and that means some things don't land. But the mechanics, the movement, the battling, the puzzles that I played so far, the traversal of the open world all feels fucking great. Like the gliding with the dataless wings. I'm gonna buy it for the PS5.
Nice.
This is a game I think it will be my January because I want to commit to finishing No Man's Sky, and I kind of feel like I'm the only person this month who's going to be talking about No Man's Sky and Immortals and not Cyberpunk. But
that's what I'm here for. I can talk about Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's exactly. We'll cover different things. It is giving me the feel that I had in the first couple hours of Odyssey in terms of gameplay. Breath of the Wild, yeah, I mean it's trying to be that, and there's an interesting mechanic. I think it's called True Sight, and it kind of forces you into using it at the beginning of the game. So basically, if you hit R3, you scan you're on top of a high place and you scan, and then your controller rumbles when there's a point of interest, and then you can press, I think, right trigger to reveal it, and then if you continue to do that, your map is littered with icons that tells you exactly what's there. Or you cannot do that and just put pins like Breath of the Wild. So, that looks interesting. I'll put a pin and then not use the True Sight to reveal anything. And I've heard a lot of complaints about how it's missed the mark on Breath of the Wild because it doesn't let you explore naturally. It just tells you where everything is. And it fucking doesn't unless you use that skill. And it railroads you into using that skill at the beginning. So if you continue to use it and just like highlight everything on your map, yeah, it's just like a fucking checklist game. But I've decided not to use it. And I'm putting pins myself, and it's just like Breath of the Wild, where I'm just exploring to the pin that I put down. There are certainly narrative moments where it's like, go to this island, go to this turtle rock.
Yeah.
So it does point you towards certain things, but once you get into past the tutorial, it is just like, here you go, here are 4 areas, do it however you want. It's got the same stamina like Breath of the Wild, climbing, the puzzles obviously. But it feels like a more arcadey version of the battling system or the fighting mechanics of
Yeah, that's what it
at
looked
the same.
like.
Yeah, yeah. It's R1, R2,
Yep.
R1 and L1 to parry. It's got the Greek. I can't imagine a team going from fucking Odyssey to this. Like it's just the same content, told in a different way. I really, really like it, and I was like, almost just bought it on PS5 today just to have it. I was like, no, if I do that, I'm going to keep playing. I don't want to. I want to finish No Man's Sky. And by the time I'm ready to play it, it'll probably down to $45 or whatever. But of Watch Dogs, Valhalla, and Immortals, I thought Immortals would be the last one I wanted to play, and it's the only one I want to play of those three. I'll probably get Valhalla next year sometime, but no, this game, the first hour was like fucking delightful, really delightful.
That's good to know. Yeah, crazy. There's already Amazon has it for PS5 for $49, $50.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's already on sale, of
today.
course.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Valhalla was too.
I guess so.
It was 50 for. It might not be now.
I guess the
but I
gold edition has a season pass and extra.
Right. Yeah, I'll probably get the gold edition. There might be a Christmas sale. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there'll probably be something on PSN around it. I don't know if
Yeah,
it will be part of it though.
the reviews
hard to
haven't been stellar.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Valhalla was pretty good, so we saw a huge discount for Watch Dogs already, but not really for Valhalla. I wonder if we'll see one for Phoenix. I can wait. I'm in the, I think like last year or 2 years ago or whatever, I would have purchased Legion, Watch Dogs, and Legion, Valhalla, and Phoenix all at the same time. But this year I'm waiting because I'm trying to stick with the games that I'm playing. Like oh man, I'm so intense guy, and I just don't.
That's so
understand
crazy.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's a chill game for a stressful year.
I guess that must be it. Because I remember when it was launching, we were talking on the podcast, and you were like, "This is not a game that you're gonna like because it's just you by yourself." And I've just had so much fun farming. Like when I work, I just have No Man's Sky like Let's Plays and tip videos in the back. Just going to planets and exploring and like just making money, renaming shit, getting materials I need to build new shit for my base. And like I've spent time expanding my base with my daughter. Actually, we spend most of our days just like pretend play around the house, and she'll ask me to tell her a story like every moment of the day. So I'm just telling her stories all day. And I was telling her a story about Mae Jemison. Who was it? It was like Mae Jemison, the astronaut, fucking Rosalina from Mario, and like some other like non sequitur character, and they like went to space and they were exploring, and I was like, you want to? Or they went to Saturn. I was like, you want to see Saturn? So I turned on No Man's Sky because my planet is basically, it looks like Saturn, has rings and water and whatever else. And she was just like super into just the running around exploring, using your mining tool or what
mining laser.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. The mining laser to get your resources. Getting ferrite. We need ferrite dust and carbon to make a roof for our house. And I hadn't spent much time with my base, and I cleared out like a flat space for my base right on the beach, and then I'd made basically a 2-room shack. And my daughter looked at it and was like, she didn't say this obviously. She's like, what the fuck? Like, let's make that bigger. So she had me delete the walls and expand out. Told me exactly where to expand out. Made the floor, made the walls, and then I couldn't make the ceiling because I didn't have ferrite dust. And she's like, "What do you need? What resource do you need to make the roof?" I'm like, "I need ferrite dust." She's like, "Well, where do you find ferrite dust?" And I was like, "Well, let's go find it."
Rocks.
Yeah. So I did that. And we made the roof. She was super excited. She's like, "Let's see another world." So then I just went to the Space Anomaly and went to one of the Hello Games like community highlights. It was a shipwreck. I read the 3 names and it was like Shipwreck Cove, and she's like, "Let's go there." And went there, and I just gave her the controller, and she just spun around in circles with the mining laser and just like got resources, having a ball.
Nice.
And then when screen time was over, we turned it off, and she's like, "Can we do that at home?" Like, sure. So she just ran around, and we just threw items all over the house, and she just pointed her hand at it and went, and she's like, what item, what resource did I get? I'm like, you got carbon, you got ferrite dust, or whatever else. And she's just like, that's all what she wanted to do for the next 24 hours. But it was super funny because like I said, I've been watching tip videos, and one tip video was basically duping chlorine. And I live on a water world, so I had, I probably had like 500 chlorine or what. I didn't farm it right, but turns out it sells for a lot of money. And if you go to a refiner and you put in oxygen and chlorine, the output is chlorine, which is weird. So oxygen's hella cheap. So it's like 2 oxygen and 1 chlorine, and then it creates like 3 chlorine or 6 chlorine.
Okay.
So you're using one chlorine, two oxygen, making six chlorine, and then you just dump that chlorine you made back into the input and then create more. So you're making stacks of 10,000. But I didn't have I had not made a refiner that had two slots. I only have one right now.
Oh, the advanced
But
refiner. Yeah.
yeah, I don't have it. But when my daughter told us to go to this place, as soon as you leave the teleporter into Shipwreck Cove, you turn left, there's a fucking large refiner. They just put it there next to a save point, which is important. So I was like, in my head, I'm like, I'm coming back to this later because I can combine it. So last night I came back and I did it, and I put in a ton of oxygen and a ton of chlorine. No, my 500 chlorine, and I made 2,500 or no 3,000 chlorine, and I put it back in, and then let it go, and it said like 5 minutes. So I was like, okay, cool. So I sat there and watched, and I was like, all right. Oh shoot, I forgot to put on my audiobook. So I go down, grab my phone, put in my headphones, do my audiobook, look back up. My time had already expired, and when your time's expired, you're done using the refiner, and whoever's next to you can steal your shit, which is what happened. Someone came out of the teleport and stole my shit. Like the second before I grabbed my controller, I was like, what the fuck just happened? I had spent so much time farming oxygen on that planet, and I didn't save. So I had lost 45 minutes of time. So when I came back, I just went to a space station and bought all the oxygen they had, which was, trivial. I had like millions of units, so it was fine. And then I went and duped it again, and I made tons of money duping chlorine. And I'm just like, this is what I'm doing. I'm duping chlorine to get credits so I can buy other things to build up my base. And I went back and built up a pretty fucking sweet base. And it's like this sandbox game. And maybe you're right, it's just like a chill game for an unchill year. But I've never really been into sandbox games. But this has just enough story with the Artemis, and I haven't done Atlas yet, but not just enough story, and then the exploration is fun as shit. And then building my base, and it's just like I am so into this game. I cannot wait. Like last night, I sat down at 9:30, and then it was 1:30 when I was done. I was like, oh
god,
that usually doesn't happen. So
yeah,
it's
definitely one that I have been watching my son play a lot of it. When they have screen time every day, but he doesn't get to play games every day. Wednesday he gets some time to play games. He can use his screen time to play games, and then on the weekends he can play. But it's definitely, he has been all in on No Man's Sky for the past month, and he's the one talking to me about you can do this and that, and get this thing, and there's like a 2% chance when you go to a planet like this to get an A-class tool or finding all this random stuff, because when he gets internet time. Which is a fun thing that we have to monitor, but he does, is he goes to the No Man's Sky wiki and just reads through all of it.
Oh my god, your son and I are on the same arc right now.
He's just like, and he's just like a little compendium of No Man's Sky info right now. It's pretty hilarious.
Oh my god, that's funny. Because that's exactly what I'm not reading so much as just I don't really do YouTube very much, which shows in the content that I put out, because I don't really get it. But man, I have probably, I don't know, maybe 10 hours of YouTube videos of No Man's Sky over the last week, just in the background while I'm working, and just have picked up a ton of tips. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. And it's just made the game better. And I'm just like, what am I doing?
Oh, I see. So you're talking about chlorine. I'm like, God, I need to get chlorine, actually. You get it from underwater, right? Rocks underwater?
Yeah.
Okay. I just haven't, the planet my base is on is a paradise planet, so there's a bunch of water. Fucking love this planet. I just haven't really explored underwater yet. I've just been going around mining cobalt, and selling that for shit tons of money.
Yep. Yeah, that's the initial, the video I saw was first thing you do is mine cobalt in caves. And then I saw the chlorine one. I was like, well, I'm on a water planet. Let me check it out. And holy shit, I made 6 million units in about 20 minutes.
Good job. I need that. I need to do that. You don't have a freighter yet, do you?
Shipwreck. I landed on a freighter yesterday for the first time. I was like, oh, maybe I could buy one. I have a lot of units. No.
Not that much.
They needed 132 million.
So that's how to buy it. So the last time, because I've probably played No Man's Sky at just different intervals over the years, so when they do a new patch and got it, and I played when they put the freighters in, and my son says this still exists, is there's sometimes a random event where freighters are being attacked by pirates, and if you defeat all the pirates, you can land, and the freighter will be offered to you.
Really?
Yeah. And I had that happen when the freighter update first hit, a year and a half ago. That's how I got a freighter in that game. And that's how I thought they were. I was like, oh, you have to do this event and you get a freighter. And my son's like, no, that can happen, but you just have to spend a bunch of money most of the time. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Because freighter was awesome. I'll give it that.
Yeah, because I had part of the Artemis quest line, like I had my C class, starship or whatever, and I landed, and it was like an A class, bigger, like not a freighter, whatever the bigger starship is.
Yeah.
And it just had a ton more storage, and I was like, I have to do it. Like it's free right now. I'm gonna. But I kind of missed the maneuverability, and obviously I'm spending a ton of resources clearing out all the damage on the ship.
Yeah.
Over which now is slightly more trivial because I have so many units. But it's a piece at a time, so it's just part of the process.
It is part of it, and that's one of the things with the game where it is actually balanced. Like, yeah, you can get this bigger ship now, but you're still going to put in the same amount of effort to actually make it fully usable as if you bought it new. So
yeah, exactly, which is fine.
Yeah.
Having played the game for 6-7 hours by myself, and then the first time I'd never gone to the space anomaly before. This is the first time. My last playthrough, I didn't get there, and I got there and it's just like surrounded by people, and I seriously, my jaw dropped. I was like, oh my god, I'm not alone. I was like, wow, I'm really in tune with this character right now.
And I mean, the space anomaly thing didn't come out until a year after the first release.
Okay.
Like that was not in because that was the promised multiplayer that was never there at launch.
Right.
And I still haven't spent a ton of time like really exploring the mechanics of the space anomaly. Like I know where to spend my nanites and my tech salvage to upgrade to get new things to build.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll talk to Nada and Pino for the progression. The two people you talk to there.
Yep.
But I haven't looked at missions at all, and I haven't done a bunch of it just exploring around the edges just to see what else is available. But
there's places where you can turn in milestones and turn in discoveries or what make things. There's the dailies down at the front in the front cube. Dailies, and then there's the weekly quest for Quicksilver, and you can go somewhere to spend Quicksilver to get like exotics, mainly cosmetic stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, but it is nice to just come in every once in a while and be like, I'm cool.
Yeah.
It's fucking. I don't know if I'm the only person on the planet who at this time of the year when there's so many new releases coming out is fucking just so deep in the no man's sky, but I am in love to the point where like I don't know what it's our podcast and it's our rules or whatever, but like it might make my top 10 list.
There you go.
It's a game that came out in fucking 2016, but there's been so many goddamn updates that I didn't have anything to do
with. It
with.
Doesn't even look like that game from 2016. Actually, I'm looking here. Space Anomalies were in the release. I do remember them.
Really?
But it was not. It has nothing to do with multiplayer. It was only those two people you talked to about milestones. Like you would land and walk up to them, and it could only have one spot for a ship landing. It was very bare bones, minimal. Like get out of your ship, walk up the little ramp. The two guys are there. You may have a tool that might get offered to you. You could buy, but that's it. And it was just like the small, like that's it. It was the Foundation update or the next update. I don't know. I'm looking at the update list and it's just like, oh my god, there's so much.
Yeah, and it looks like next was like 1.5. And we're on 3.13 now.
Yeah, I think next was the one where Beyond. Beyond is the one. There it is. Beyond added the ability to summon the space anomaly location, expanded it, and reworked the interior to be multiplayer focused. Yeah, it serves as the hub for multiplayer. It was the Beyond update, and that's where they actually, which was 2.0. Yeah, 2.0. On, when did it come out? August 14th, 2019. So how many years after the game released? Yeah.
Oh god, it came out in 2016, so yeah, 3 years later.
They finally got their multiplayer in there. So yeah, there you go.
Dude, it's great. I recommend anyone check it out. It's a great thing to play on the PS5. It looks goddamn gorgeous.
It does.
Super cool. I've had 2 crashes though.
It happens, I'm sure.
They both happened last night in the same kind of situation where I was in that solar system that was full of people.
Oh.
There were around people. So when I went to a new planet, it crashed twice.
I could see that.
I persevered because I was going to read into Planet, the Prof and Dev Play Games podcast, because everyone's going to that planet right now, so I wanted people to see it. Because no one had to identify anything. No one had explored anything. Even the person who I guess maybe I don't quite know how it works, but like the planet where the base was, that was named, but none of the animals were. Or else maybe I just didn't discover them. Maybe I'm myself as opposed to like for the world. But I thought you were discovering them for the world, so everybody.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Anyway, I discovered all the animals on the planet, and I'm going to platinum this fucking game. Like steadily getting. None of them seem too out of reach, except for surviving 32 on a hostile fucking planet.
It's actually not that because is it 32 days? It's not real time 32 days. It's whatever the
No, it's
planet's
their day.
cycle is. Yeah, and even that's not hard because it's cumulative over time.
Mm-hmm.
So just being on hostile planets, you'll just tick that time up as you go.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
So just and honestly, just build a second base on a hostile planet. Just idle there for a while.
Yeah, I need to. You can only have one base per system.
I believe so. Yeah, one per system.
I just made I've only warped once.
Yeah, I finally. That's where I'm at now. Is I just want to keep warping forward a little bit, to move a little bit, because you can always warp back to your base. So
right, I love my base plan.
Yeah, I just want to keep moving. Yeah, it's a cool game though. Overall, I'm happy that they've been able to continue to build on it and add to it, and really make it kind of the full experience that they wanted when they first announced it. So
right, yeah, it seems like it's becoming what they wanted.
Yes,
finally.
And you can now you can go harvest your space egg at some point and grow your bionic ship.
What?
There's like biological ships, like alien ships that you have to grow out of a space egg.
Oh my god, that's what those weird spaceships are then, huh?
Yes.
Oh, cool. God damn.
I don't even know where the hell those come from. I just know that they got added in one of this past year. One of the updates was like, here, harvest your space egg. I'm like, sure. That's a random sentence, but okay.
Yeah, there's still a lot of, a lot of new stuff for me to explore and discover, even though I think eventually it starts to reach, like you said, on all the planets you go to. But stuff like that is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's systems like that. There's the derelict freighters. My son's talked to me a bunch about those.
I just landed on one.
Okay.
That's the one who was like, I'm done. You want it? Here, give me money.
No,
you're talking about the horror. The
horror ones, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have not done that yet.
You have to build a special thing for them to find them, basically. There's like a special upgrade. I think it's a ship upgrade, tech upgrade you have to put in so you can find them.
No, thank you. I'm already freaked the fuck out whenever a sentinel, seriously, freaks me the fuck out. Speaking of, I found a great way to mine resources when you're in a high sentinel area. I just fucking dig a hole in the ground and then just dig a hole vertically or horizontally under the resource and just dig up, and they just don't bother me.
Yep. Yeah, you can totally do that.
Oh, it's fucking awesome. I don't know. I just don't want to conflict in that game. Just freaks me the fuck out for some reason. I need to push past it because I need to get that platinum.
Finding sentinels is honestly still kind of, to me, a frustrating experience. So it just escalates constantly. You kill one, more come, and you're just like, you just have to be in it for the fight for a while. But if you're going for the platinum, that's what you want. You just sit around and fight for a while.
I eventually will do that when I'm in that headspace, and I'm.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll end our podcast on No Man's Sky right now.
That kind of. Well, everybody, this was 270 of Prof and Dev Play Games. He is at SummerSpeak on Twitter. I am at Prof Plays Games. If you like our podcast, please tell a friend. We will be back next week with Anthony's hands-on impressions with Cyberpunk 2077.
Yep. Later, everyone.